Jeremiah 30, verse 17. For I will restore health to you and heal your wounds, declares the Lord, because they have called you an outcast. It is Zion, for whom no one cares. Story time. The playground at the elementary buzzed with the usual cacophony of shouts and laughter, but for 11-year-old Rashawn, it was a minefield. His slightly oversized glasses often slipped down his nose, and his passion for building intricate Lego castles, rather than scoring goals, made him an easy target for a trio of sixth-grade boys: Ramel, the loud leader; Kaize, his silent, hulking shadow; and Chris, who snickered on cue. Today, they had cornered Ramel by rusty swings. "Look, it's Castle Boy," Mark jeered, yanking at Rashawn's backpack. Still playing with baby toys, one of the boys pushed Rashawn, making him stumble. Ramel laughed, a sharp, unpleasant sound. Rashawn's face burned, and he clutched his backpack tighter, wishing the ground would swallow him whole. He felt a familiar knot of fear and shame tighten in his stomach. Later that afternoon, Rashawn sat at his kitchen table, pushing peas around his plate. His grandmother, Nana Rose, sat across from him, her eyes full of gentle inquiry. She noticed the slight tremble in his hands, the way he avoided her gaze. "Rough day, little lion?" she asked softly, using her pet name for him. Rashawn mumbled, "It was okay." Nana Rose didn't press. Instead, after dinner, she suggested, "How about we read a story tonight? From a good book, KJV Bible?" Rashawn shrugged. Accustomed to their evening ritual, Nana Rose opened her worn Bible. Its pages thin from years of turning, she didn't go to familiar stories of heroes and miracles. Instead, she turned to a less-known passage. "I want to read you something from Romans chapter 12, she began, her voice a comforting balm. She read, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Romans chapter 12, verse 21. Rashawn blinked. "What does that mean, Nana?" "It means," she explained, her gaze steady, "that when someone is unkind to you, it's easy to want to be unkind back, to push back, to say mean things, but this verse tells us there's a better way. It tells us to respond to badness with goodness." She then turned to another verse, her finger tracing the lines. "And here in Ephesians chapter 4, be kind to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you." Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. Think about that, Rashawn. Even when someone is not kind to us, we are called to be kind. It takes courage, kindness when someone is being hurtful. It takes a big heart to forgive, even when they haven't asked for it. Because it's not just about them. It is. It's about who you choose to be. Rashawn was quiet for a long moment, thinking about Ramel and his friends. He just imagined trying to be kind to them, and the idea felt strange, almost impossible. "But they're so mean," he finally said, his voice small. "They might be," Nana Rose agreed, "and that's their struggle. But your strength comes from choosing how you respond. And sometimes, Rashawn, when you choose goodness, when you refuse to let their unkindness change who you are, it can even make them stop and think." The next day at school, the knot of fear was still in Rashawn's stomach, but something else was there too, a tiny spark of resolve. During recess, Ramel spotted him by the swings again. "Still playing with your imaginary friends, Rashawn?" He sneered, and asked Ramel move to block Rashawn's path. Rashawn's heart pounded. He wanted to run, to shout something back. But then he remembered Nana Rose's words, "Overcome evil with good." Taking a deep breath, Rashawn looked at Ramel squarely in the eye. "Actually," he said, his voice trembling slightly but clear, "I was thinking about starting a club for kids who like to build things. We could make some really cool stuff for school." Ramel's sneer faltered. He clearly hadn't expected that. Ramel looked confused. Chris just blinked. Rashawn saw a momentary pause, the flicker of surprise. He continued, you know, like a giant robot for the science fair, or maybe a miniature city. It'd be open to anyone who wants to create." The bell rang then, cutting off the moment. Ramel and Chris walked away, not laughing, not pushing. They just looked puzzled. Later that week, a small group of kids gathered during recess. drawn by Flyer Rashawn, had bravely posted about his Builders Guild. A couple of them, usually quietly like Rashawn, started sketching ideas for a giant castle. From a distance, Rashawn saw Ramel walked away, not laughing, not pushing. They just looked puzzled. Later that week, a small group of kids gathered during recess. Drawn by a flyer, Rashawn didn't expect the bullying to disappear overnight, or for Ramel to suddenly become his best friend, but Nana Rose's words, rooted in ancient wisdom, had given him a new tool. He wasn't just defending himself. He was choosing to build something better, to shine his own light even in the shadows. And for the first time in a long time, the playground felt a little less like a minefield and a little more like a place where new things, even good things, begin to grow. Age.